Hi, this is Brad with Copper Creek Cuts, and today we're going to talk about aquascapes and their products. You've seen a ton of YouTubers posting about them lately. Some of them went to pond installs across the country. Some of them went up to the training programs that are offered at Aquascape's headquarters. And no doubt it looks like a very neat company with a beautiful facility, absolutely gorgeous. But one thing I haven't seen yet is hands-on unboxings. This is what comes in the product. This is how much it costs. This is how you install it. So that's what I'm hoping to do today. The product that we're going to take a look at is the Aquarock fountain kit. Everything you need comes in this 5-gallon bucket. You've got 6 to 7 natural rocks, some tubing that connects to a pump, which only has a 6-foot cord, which is a pressure point for me. That's really short. And then the 5-gallon bucket. There's also a liner for the in-ground installation, which is off-screen. A minor inconvenience for me, my bucket arrived damaged. That's not going to be an issue if you buy this from a local supplier. But there's nothing special about those lids, so you'll see how I made my own. Now for the short cord, that's nothing against Aquascapes. It says right in the description, 6-foot cord. But for the other product I purchased, this stacked slate urn mini kit, this part I am a little upset because nowhere in the description or specifications does it mention the length of cord. The pictures are a little deceiving. They don't show you the cord, you know, it's tucked underneath the basin. No big deal, I'll look at their YouTube installation video. The cord that's shown there has got to be at least 15 or 20 feet. So again, a minor complaint, but it is a complaint nonetheless. So when you're pricing these kits, you will need to factor in extension cords. Our application is above ground install in a pot. If you reason between $30 to $50 for a size pot that'll work, you're going to be in a safe range. Rock on top of that, your standard pebbles and rocks are going to be $4 to $5 a bag your cost. More exotic rocks may be $10 for half that amount. So it all depends on what you have nearby and what your customer wants. Since this is such a small ecosystem as far as where the pump gets water and where it circulates, I thought it was a good idea to make sure everything was clean before installation. If you're doing this commercially, this may be a good idea for a lazy Sunday afternoon when you get, 5 or 10 of these products in at once, where you can line up all the components and just go to town, rinsing them off, let them dry, and then repackage everything. There was a ton of dust that came off of this, so I think this was a good idea that I did this. Depending on the rock you get, if it's low quality like what I got, there's going to be a ton of sediment in that rock that you need to rinse as well. You can see how much runoff is coming out of the bottom of that bag from the hole I cut. This is no good. You don't want that stuff in your pump. So if you're a homeowner looking at this video, just realize there's a lot more work that goes into this install than what the company will say based on your local materials. And if you're doing this commercially, if this is the only rock you have available and this is what you will be offering to your customers, you're going to need to factor in the time and effort it's going to take you to clean that rock and make it into a state where you can then hand it over to the consumer. Now, our install used a tall, narrow pot. We like the style of that. It does pose some challenges that we'll get into, but one of the advantages is it uses a lot less filler material. So we put a little bit of gravel here at the bottom, just enough so that the bucket sits on the gravel and doesn't get pinched by the actual bottom of the planter. Now you'll see there's a very small ring that's left to fill in with pebbles, but all that space in between, nothing can fit through there, so you use a lot less material this way. If you do receive a damaged lid or one becomes damaged over time, it's a relatively simple fix. So you can go to wherever. I went to Walmart, and for $1.50 you can get a new lid. You can get some drill spades to mark where the existing holes are, and then you just drill out the new holes, and that's all there is. Obviously the color's different, not a huge issue. It could be an issue depending on your installation, but for me it wasn't. For the above ground install of this kit, you are going to need to drill 1/4-inch holes every 3 inches around the bottom of the 5-gallon bucket. That's going to be where your pump gets its water from. This is a little bit different from the above ground installation, but you want to make sure that you drill those holes so the water can get into the pump. This is something as well that's going to generate some mess, so you need to be cognizant of whether you're going to do this at home or at your shop or on the customer's property. And if it's on the customer's property, you're going to need to be able to clean it up. Next, you'll attach the included hose to the pump. The pump I received actually has a flow setting on it. I set mine at halfway, so you'll be able to see what kind of a flow that generates, and you can play with yours from there. Once everything's installed, it's going to be very difficult to get back to that pump and adjust it, so keep that in mind. Then we'll go ahead and put our pump at the bottom of the bucket. We're going to feed up our tube through the center hole, and then our cord through the other larger hole on the side. After you clamp that lid down, you'd want to go ahead and put some duct tape over the hole. This is just to cover up that hole and prevent rocks from falling in. So you can see we've got our gravel in the bottom. Our 5-gallon bucket with the pump inside is ready to go, so we're going to sit that down. Unfortunately, my camera wasn't on for the next part, but you'll just go ahead and lay your gravel or rocks down. For the bottom, I used pea gravel. Up top is actually river rock. This is an alternate method of cleaning the materials. You could just feed water into the system and pump out the dirty water as it goes. Then you would just go ahead and stack your rocks however you or the customer likes. Each one of these kit is going to have different shapes and sizes of rock, so each one is going to be something unique and special. So you'll have to play around each time you get a kit, is my point. Once you plug it in, you'll be able to play around with the arrangement. Here's one of the issues with a tall and narrow pot, is that water is more likely to splash out. You're probably only talking a loss of a couple ounces a day, but it is something to consider. It does make a tiny bit of mess. Now out here in my front patio, that doesn't bother me any, so it's not a concern for me. You'll also play around with the orientation of the rocks, because depending on how you have it positioned, that can cause more or less splashing onto the ground. If you have a shorter, wider container, that's probably not going to be as big of an issue. So this is the blue stone model. You can see it takes on a real beautiful dark color when it gets wet, and when it dries, it kind of matches pretty closely to some of the colors on this river rock. So I'm not sure if it's a side effect of the type of pot that I used, but one thing that I don't like is the sound of the water, the fountain, the water splashing down the rocks is actually a little bit overshadowed by this draining noise that you hear as the water percolates or filters down through all the levels. Would that still be present if I used a wider, shorter planter? I don't know. That's something I'll experiment with later, but it is something to be aware of if you're going to use a similar style planter or pot that I did. And again, remember that pump is at half speed, and this is the bubble that's coming off of it. I don't think you'd want to go much higher than half, and if anything, you may even want to go a little bit lower. So when you're talking about the total cost for this thing, the kit itself is about $60. That's before tax or shipping, which for me, they quoted $20. You know, if you want to build a little wiggle room in for price variances, you're looking at maybe $100 for the kit itself. On top of that, you're going to need rock, anywhere from $10 to $30, depending on the size of your planter and the quality of rock you want to get. So you're up to $130. You're going to need an extension cord. So that's what, another $20 or $30 for a good quality long extension cord. So now you're up to $150. The planter itself that you're going to put all this rock and the kit in, that's going to be between $20 and another $50. So there you're around $200. And again, all these are rough estimates, guys. I can't give you an exact cost because there's hundreds of types of rock, there's hundreds of types of planters, so I'm just trying to give you kind of a ballpark idea. If you did everything super budget oriented, use the cheapest rock, the cheapest planter, you might get away with doing this for what, something like $120? If you've got nicer pots, if you're getting high quality rock that you don't have to rinse off, If you've got a nice extension cord that'll let you hide everything and, you know, put it further than 2 feet away from the outlet, you're going to be looking at closer to $200 for this kit. Now the next question is, how does this install in the ground? And that's going to be the topic for our next video. I'll actually get a second one of these and put it in the ground so we can compare the costs, the labor, and any other differences we can come up with when we're talking about this specific Aquascape Aquarock kit. If this video helped you, if you found it interesting, please let me know in the comments. If you have any questions about this kit or any Aquascape product, please, again, let me know in the comments. I'll answer your question within 1 or 2 days. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it.
These rocks are ungettable. I died. There's no water coming. Is there water inside a cup?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bucket.
No more water coming. You mean inside here?
Well, this is all hollow. So there's gravel, and then there's a bucket that fits inside there.
No more water coming. That'd be like that.
Okay.
Buff.
Don't do that. Do not do that.